My fiancée claimed we were on a break, quietly reconnected with her ex, and ghosted me for weeks, ignoring every call and vanishing without a trace, only to waltz back expecting me to whisk her off into a wedding. What she didn't know was that I'd spent that time orchestrating a heart-stopping reveal she'd never recover from. My fiancée, Lily. She's 27 and I'm 29. We've been together for 3 years. She's smart, funny, and has this incredible way of making you feel like you're the only person that matters. I proposed last year, and we started planning our summer wedding. Everything seemed perfect, or at least that's what I thought. One day, Lily told me she was heading to her hometown to spend some time with her sister. She's always been close to her family and hadn't visited in a while, so I didn't think twice about it. She packed a small bag, kissed me goodbye, and said she'd be back in a couple of weeks. At first, nothing seemed off. We were still texting a bit, and she called me the night she got there to let me know she'd arrived safely. But the next day, things took a weird turn. She called again and said, "Hey, I need to talk to you about something." I said, "Sure, what's up?" And then she hit me with, "I think I need some time to think." I paused, trying to make sense of what she meant. I asked, "Think about what? Is this about the wedding? Are you feeling overwhelmed? Did I do something wrong?" But she didn't give me a real answer. All she said was, "I just need some space for myself." I didn't want to push, so I told her, "Okay, if that's what you need, I understand. Just keep me in the loop." She promised we'd talk soon, but the whole thing felt strange. The call ended and I just sat there thinking, what the hell just happened? After that, she basically disappeared. I sent a few casual texts like, "Hey, how's everything going?" or "Hope you're doing okay," but got no response. I tried calling, nothing. She even stopped posting on social media, which was odd because she usually shares everything from her breakfast to her evening walks. Eventually, I reached out to her sister, hoping she could give me some answers. All she sent back was, "Haven't seen her much, sorry." It felt like I was being locked out of my own life. My friends tried to reassure me, saying maybe Lily just needed some time, but I knew something was wrong. She wasn't the type to ghost me. Not like this. The weirdest part was how sudden it all was. Just a week before she left, we were literally arguing over napkin colors for the reception. There were no fights, no warning signs. I kept going over every recent conversation in my head, trying to figure out what I missed. But everything had felt fine until it wasn't. I tried to be patient. Maybe she really did need time. Maybe she was going through something personal she wasn't ready to share yet. But as the days dragged into weeks with no word, my patience wore thin. If something was wrong, why couldn't she just tell me? That's when my mind went to darker places. Was she really with her sister? Was there someone else? I hated thinking like that, but I couldn't ignore how off everything felt. I spent so many nights just staring at my phone, hoping for a message or missed call that never came. Every day felt heavier. I tried throwing myself into work, meeting up with friends, anything to stay distracted, but it didn't help. It felt like my life was frozen. After a few weeks of silence, I couldn't take it anymore. How much space does one person need? If she wasn't going to tell me what was happening, I was going to find out myself. I packed a bag, filled up the tank, and made the drive to her hometown. It wasn't a short trip, so I had plenty of time to brace myself for whatever awkward situation was waiting. I kept telling myself, maybe she's just overwhelmed. Maybe this isn't as bad as it seems. But deep down, I had a feeling I wasn't ready for what I'd find. When I got to her parents' house, where I assumed she was staying, my heart was pounding. I knocked on the door. For a moment, there was no answer. Then Lily opened it. The look on her face said it all. She clearly hadn't expected me. She stood there frozen like I was a surprise exam she forgot to study for. Finally, she stepped aside and let me in, muttering something about how she didn't think I'd actually come. We sat in the living room, but it didn't feel like it usually did between us. There was no warmth, no ease. She made small talk, asked how the drive was, if I wanted a drink, like we were strangers at a waiting room. I answered, but I didn't come all this way to chat about traffic. Eventually, I cut to the point. "Lily, what's going on? Why haven't you been returning my calls or texts?" Her face shifted. She looked nervous. "I've been trying to figure some things out," she said, barely above a whisper. "Figure what out?" I asked. She hesitated. The silence between us stretched so long I could hear my own heartbeat in my ears. And then she finally said it. "I ran into my ex when I got here." It felt like the floor dropped out from under me. I just stared at her, trying to understand. "What do you mean?" "It wasn't planned," she said. "I saw him at the grocery store. We talked." That word "talked" hit me hard. It wasn't just that she ran into him. It was the way she said it, like it was nothing, even though it clearly was something. I leaned in, trying to stay calm. "Why didn't you tell me?" She looked away. "I didn't want to upset you until I figured out how I felt." "How you felt?" I repeated, my voice cracking a little. "Lily, we're engaged. We're planning a wedding." "What do you mean how you felt?" She looked down, then said, "I've been spending time with him." I needed to know if there were any unresolved feelings. For a second, I was speechless. I just sat there stunned. Unresolved feelings? We're about to get married, and you're reconnecting with your ex to see if you still have feelings? I didn't want to go into our marriage with doubts, she whispered. I felt my chest tighten, my hands clenching. So, you ghosted me for weeks over this? Why didn't you talk to me? Why leave me completely in the dark? She started to explain, but I couldn't hold it in anymore. What does this even mean? Are you still trying to decide between me and him? Because I'm not going to sit around and wait while you figure out if I'm your backup plan. Her face crumpled. For a second, I thought she was about to cry. But instead, she said, I didn't want to hurt you. I needed space to sort out my emotions. Do you hear yourself right now? I said, leaving me completely clueless for weeks. That's way worse than just being honest from the start. The conversation went nowhere after that. Every time I asked for a straight answer, she gave me vague excuses about needing clarity, not wanting to make the wrong choice. I could feel myself getting more drained by the minute. Eventually, I stood up. I looked at her one last time and said, I need time to think. I repeated her exact words, because now I was the one who needed space. Her eyes widened, like she genuinely hadn't expected me to say that, but I didn't wait around for a reply. I grabbed my keys and walked out. The drive home after that conversation felt like one of the longest, most surreal drives of my life. I wasn't mad, not in the screaming or smashing things kind of way, but I was hurt, deeply hurt. I kept going over everything Lily said, trying to make sense of it. Unresolved feelings? What did that even mean? Why couldn't she just talk to me instead of shutting down and disappearing for weeks? The next few days were a blur. I went to work, but I wasn't really present. My coworkers asked if I was okay, and I gave the usual, yeah, just tired excuse. My friends checked in too, but I didn't have the energy to explain the whole mess. Eventually, I opened up to a couple of close friends. Their reactions were a mix of shock and straight-up anger. My buddy Mark said, dude, that's so messed up. She should have told you the second her ex showed up. My friend Jenna was more blunt. If she's entertaining her ex while she's engaged to you, she doesn't deserve you. Hearing their reactions made me realize how serious the situation was, but it also made me feel like a fool. How did I not see this coming? Were there signs I just missed? The thing that stung the most was how blindsided I felt. We had been planning a whole future, wedding venues, where we'd live, even tossing around baby names. And now, it all felt like a lie. I started going through our old texts, looking for some clue about her behavior. Nothing stood out. Our conversations had seemed fine, happy, even, right up until she left for her hometown. It was like the moment she saw her ex, she flipped a switch. One night, I decided to text her sister. I wasn't trying to drag her into things, but I needed some kind of clarity. Her reply was vague and short. I think Lily's just dealing with some stuff. She'll figure it out. Figure it out? What was there to figure out? We were supposed to be a team, and now I was completely left in the dark. A week later, Lily finally texted me. No apology. No explanation. Just a casual, hey, how are you? Like everything was normal. I didn't respond. I couldn't. What was I supposed to say? Hey, I'm great. Thanks for ghosting me while you reconnected with your ex. The silence between us kept growing louder. I felt more and more distant from her, and more certain that whatever we had was breaking. I started to wonder if I even wanted to fix it. Could I forgive her? Could I trust her again? At the same time, I felt stuck. We had built a life, or at least a blueprint for one. Breaking up wasn't just ending a relationship. It meant unraveling everything we'd planned and starting over. That thought was terrifying, but pretending everything was fine? That wasn't an option either. I started thinking about what I actually wanted, what I truly deserved, and I realized I couldn't stay with someone who didn't respect me enough to be honest. I couldn't marry someone who thought it was okay to put me on hold while they sorted out their feelings for someone else. By the end of that week, I made up my mind. If Lily wanted to fix things, it would take a hell of a lot more than a lazy hey text. And even then, I didn't know if I could ever see her the same way again. I didn't reach out. She didn't follow up. The silence between us started to feel like an unspoken agreement. We were done. And as painful as that was, it also felt like relief. I was getting used to the quiet. It wasn't fun, but it gave me space to think. I had accepted that Lily wasn't coming back. And honestly, I was beginning to move on. I wasn't rushing it or distracting myself. I was just trying to rebuild some kind of normal. Then, right on cue, she came back. It was a Saturday afternoon. I was halfway through rewatching some random show I didn't even like, just try to keep my mind busy. There was a knock at the door. I figured it was a delivery or maybe Mark dropping by. But nope, it was Lily. She stood there like nothing had happened, smiling like she was delivering cookies to a neighbor. Hey, she said casually, as if she hadn't ghosted me for weeks. I just stood there for a second, trying to figure out if I was hallucinating. Hey, I finally said, stepping aside to let her in. She walked in like she still lived there, commenting on how clean everything looked. Then she sat down on the couch, patted the cushion beside her, and said, we need to talk. I braced myself for an apology or some heartfelt explanation. But instead, she launched into wedding plans. Our venue still has our date, she said, like we've been talking this whole time. And I was thinking lavender for the table settings. Timeless, right? I stared at her in disbelief and finally cut her off. Lily, what are you doing here? She blinked, confused. I'm here to fix things, she said matter-of-factly. I laughed, a sharp, bitter laugh. Fix things? I repeated. You mean the relationship you hit pause on while you figured out your feelings for your ex? That one. Her face went pale. That's over. I realized I don't have feelings for him anymore. It's you I want. I stood up and started pacing because sitting still was impossible. And I'm just supposed to believe that? Take you back like none of this ever happened? Do you even hear how crazy that sounds? She blinked again, clearly thrown by the anger in my voice. I needed time. I didn't want to hurt you. You didn't want to hurt me? I snapped. You ghosted me for weeks, Lily. You didn't even bother to tell me what was going on. I had to drive to your hometown just to get answers. It wasn't like that, she said quickly. I was confused. I didn't know what I was feeling. I didn't want to make things worse. Make things worse. I cut her off again. You made things worse by disappearing. You left me hanging while you figured out whatever this was with your ex. Do you even know what that did to me? She tried to respond, but I didn't let her. No, you don't. Because if you did, you wouldn't be here right now, expecting me to just pretend nothing happened. She looked hurt, but I didn't back down. I made a mistake, she whispered. I know I messed up, but I'm here now. I want to make it right. I'll do whatever it takes. Whatever it takes, I repeated, laughing bitterly. That doesn't mean anything anymore. I don't trust you. How am I supposed to believe you won't do this again the next time you're confused? She looked down, fiddling with her engagement ring. My ring. I felt a flash of anger, seeing it still on her hand. Take it off, I said abruptly. She looked up, startled. What? The ring, I said, pointing. Take it off. You don't get to wear it. Not after this. Her eyes widened. For a second, I thought she might argue. But slowly, she slid it off and placed it on the table. Then she stood there, looking at me like she was hoping I'd say something to fix everything. But I didn't. I just looked back, my face hard, my decision final. Is this really it? She asked. You just done? Yes, I said, calm and certain. I'm done. I'm on a backup plan, Lily. You don't get to put me on pause while you figure out your feelings, then come back when it's convenient. That's not love. That's just selfish. Her lips trembled like she wanted to say something, but she didn't. Instead, she turned and walked out the door. That night, I sat on the couch, staring at the ring on the table. The whole thing felt like a twisted dream. But one thing was clear. I made the right choice. I wasn't going to let myself be someone's second option. I deserved better, and I was finally ready to demand it. Lily was gone, and to be honest, I was okay with that. And that's how it all played out, up until now. If anything major comes up, I'll update you guys. Thanks to everyone who's been commenting and checking in. It means more than you know. I came back to give you an update, because something unexpected happened. After Lily's surprise visit, I felt stuck. I wasn't ready to forgive her, but I also didn't have the emotional energy to keep rehashing things. I felt like I was stuck in emotional quicksand. So, I did what most guys would do. I avoided the whole thing and kept to myself. Then out of nowhere, I got a text. It was from Mia, one of Lily's friends. We'd always been friendly, but never close. Her message said something like, hey, just checking in. I heard about the breakup and wanted to see how you're holding up. At first, I didn't know how to respond. Was this some kind of setup? But after staring at the message way too long, I finally replied, hey, thanks for reaching out. I'm doing okay, I guess. To my surprise, Mia was really easy to talk to. She told me she'd been through something similar and knew how much it sucked. We ended up texting back and forth for a while, and honestly, it felt good to have someone to talk to. She wasn't pushy or judgmental, just listened. A couple days later, Mia messaged me again, this time asking if I wanted to grab coffee. I wasn't really in the mood to go out, but she didn't back off. Come on, getting out of the house will be good for you, she said. Before I knew it, I said yes. When we met up, it felt totally normal. Not romantic or flirty, just two people chatting. She asked about work, my hobbies, even some old college memories. For the first time in weeks, I felt like someone actually saw me. Not the drama, not the wedding mess, just me. Then she said something that threw me off. You know, you deserve someone who appreciates you. Someone who doesn't take you for granted. I didn't really know what to say, so I just went with, yeah, I guess. Here's the thing. I wasn't into Mia like that. She was great, sure, but I was still sorting through the mess Lily left behind. I wasn't ready for anything new, and I didn't want to send the wrong signal. But Mia kept texting. Funny memes, random check-ins, asking to hang out again. She wasn't annoying about it, but it was obvious she was trying to turn this into something more. One night, she asked me to grab dinner. I tried to politely say no, but she pushed. It's just dinner, she said. Don't overthink it. So I went. And let me tell you, it was awkward. She dressed like it was a date. I showed up in a hoodie and jeans. The conversation was fine, but the vibe was off. Like she was testing to see how far she could take it. When I got home, I made a decision. No more one-on-one time with Mia. I didn't want to lead her on or make this any more complicated. But then, somehow Lily found out. I don't know if Mia told her, if one of their mutual friends talked, or if Lily just has some radar for drama. Next day, bam, she's at my front door like it's an emergency. She started banging like the place was on fire. No text, no heads up, just pure rage. I opened the door, already annoyed, and there she was, storming past me. "What the hell are you doing?" she snapped. I shut the door behind her, done with the drama. "Nice to see you too, Lily. What do you want?" She spun around, glaring. "You've been hanging out with Mia." "My friend." I crossed my arms, trying to stay calm. "And what makes you think you have the right to ask me about anything I do? Are you serious right now?" "She's my friend." "This is humiliating." I let out a laugh and shook my head. "Humiliating? Lily, we're done. You don't get to show up and play the victim. You made your choice when you left. What I do now, that's not your business." Her expression shifted like she couldn't believe what I was saying. "So that's it? You're just moving on?" I shrugged. "What did you expect? I'd just sit around waiting for you to decide if I was good enough?" "I came back because I realized I still love you," she yelled. "Too late," I said. "Honestly, maybe you should just go back to your ex. Seems like you're good at running back to old options." Her face turned bright red, her jaw clenched. "Are you serious right now?" she hissed. "Yeah, I am. You didn't hesitate to run to him before. Why stop now? Might as well keep it going." She snapped. "You don't get to stand there acting like you're better than me. If you think I'm just going to let this slide, you're wrong." "Let what slide?" I said. "That I've moved on? That I'm over you? Not my problem, Lily." She stared daggers at me. "You'll regret this," she said, voice ice cold. "Don't think I won't make you regret it." I opened the door and pointed toward it. "Go ahead. Say whatever you want. But you're not my problem anymore." She stood there for a second, then stormed out. I locked the door behind her and finally exhaled. Whatever she planned next, I didn't care. I was done, and nothing was going to change that. Final update. Hey everyone, just want to give you a final update on how things wrapped up. After Lily left that day, the silence felt different. It wasn't heavy or uncomfortable. It was peaceful. For once, I didn't feel like I had to explain myself to anyone. It was finally over, and I was okay with that. A couple days later, Mia texted me asking if I wanted to grab lunch. I paused. She'd been there for me during the chaos, but I could tell she was hoping for something more. I didn't want to lead her on or create confusion. Still, I figured one lunch couldn't hurt, especially if I used the chance to clear the air. When we met up, it was laid back. We talked about random stuff, but I could feel this weird energy. She laughed a little too hard, leaned in a little too close, gave me that look like she was waiting for me to make a move. About halfway through, I knew I had to say something. "Mia, I really appreciate everything you've done lately. It means a lot. But I need to be honest. I'm not looking for anything beyond friendship." Her face dropped for a second, but she bounced back quickly. "Oh yeah, totally," she said, brushing it off. "I didn't mean to make things weird." I smiled, relieved she took it well. "Thanks. I just didn't want there to be any misunderstandings." After lunch, we said goodbye, and I figured that was it. But as I was heading back to my car, I saw something out of the corner of my eye. It was Lily. She was leaning against a streetlight half a block away, pretending to scroll on her phone. But I recognized her posture. She wasn't just out for a walk. She was watching. I froze for a second, debating if I should confront her. But what was the point? She'd just lie, and it would turn into another fight. So I got in my car and drove off, acting like I hadn't seen her. Over the next week, it kept happening. She never came up to me, never caused a scene, but she was around. I'd see her car down the street, catch glimpses of her at the store. Always just close enough to be noticed, but not enough to call it stalking, at least not officially. One night, I went out for takeout and saw her car in the parking lot. Same routine. I didn't say anything, just got my food and left. But when I got home and saw her car still parked near my house, I'd had enough. I didn't confront her. I just went inside, locked the door, and pulled out my phone. I texted her, "Lily, I've seen you around. Please stop. This isn't healthy, and it's not going to change anything." No reply. Didn't expect one. But the next day, her car was gone. And in the days that followed, things actually felt quiet again. Like her shadow had finally disappeared. I still heard from Mia here and there, but I kept it light, kept my distance. I wasn't about to repeat the same mistakes. Right now, I'm focusing on me. On peace, on clarity, on moving forward. Lily might still be out there, watching, waiting, but I'm not giving her another second of control. I'm done. For real this time. And if there's one thing I've learned from all of this, it's that I deserve better. That's it, folks. Thanks for sticking with me through this whole mess. If you got any advice, I'm all ears. Otherwise, I'll just be over here, figuring out how to start fresh.